Perplexity is going to make $1 billion hedge fund manager. I guarantee it, and it's probably going to happen sooner than you think, and this is why. And I'm going to show you exactly how you create hedge fund used trading strategies like this in seconds. In just a moment, in case you don't know who I am, I'm Alpesh Patel. I am a hedge fund manager. I set it up in 2004, came and domiciled equity long short back then, trend following. Our lawyers were Simmons & Simmons. Our prime brokers were Bear Stearns initially. So let me take you into the world of what used to be incredibly difficult, but what, thanks to AI, has become ridiculously easy. The biggest problems we used to have in the hedge fund industry, and I'll show you how to set up a dashboard like that in just a second. The biggest problems we used to have is getting hold of data and finding patterns, pattern recognition and data. If you want more books on this, I suggest More Money Than God, okay, about the birth of the hedge fund industry. Jim Simons' biography, The Man Who Solved the Market, is also phenomenal. And you will see pattern recognition and data were the two major problems. The third one is raising capital, and I'll come to that in a second and how we did it. But first of all, how do you get the data? How do you get the pattern recognition? Thankfully, something like Perplexity can do it. Now, I'm going to tell you how you do it in simple steps. What I'm not going to do is say to you, hey, message me and I'll send you the exact prompt. Because in actual fact, you don't want the exact prompt. I didn't have the exact prompt. The cleverer thing to do is to ask it, what don't I know, but I've got an idea that it should be something along these lines. So in my case, what I'd actually asked it, what I fed in was, is there some kind of pattern amongst the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100 movements over this period? And I gave it a period of several years, broken down by months. So very open question, very, very open question. Now, the reason that's important, as opposed to what everybody else tells you, which is have an incredibly precise prompt, is if you have an incredibly precise prompt, you're going to get the same outputs as everybody else, and you're not going to be able to navigate down different forks, and you're not going to learn anything. Okay, and that's critically important, that you learn to learn. Okay, because in the world of AI, there is still going to be a role for humans. It's going to be, one is communicating, because guess what? The AI avatar of Alpesh, nobody wants. They want to know it's Alpesh speaking. Just as if I do a recording of a video, people are like, oh, is this live? Makes no difference, but they care. They want to know it's me speaking live. So you start off with a broad idea. Now, the reason that's really good is because you're probably not an expert in hedge fund strategies. Okay, and this still gives you an entry into that. And it's the same principle you're going to use for anything else in any event. So you start off with that broad question. Then AI and Perplexity will come back with certain suggestions. In my case, it blew my mind away, and I'm going to show you on screen exactly what it gave me. It gave me the S&P 500, it gave me the NASDAQ Composite, it gave me the Dow, it gave me NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft, Meta, and then it had ideas before I even realized them. In the same way, when I set up the hedge fund in 2004, we hired a very clever person, a chap called Sumitra Sengupta. He's the type of person where if you said, I've got an idea, he'd sort of take it 15 steps and then tell you, oh, you should be doing this, have a think of this. The best people working for you are like that. They think of things you've not even thought of. And that's where you've got to go with AI. You can no longer say, oh, I'm just going to come up with my prompts and get detailed prompts, and it's about who's got the best prompt dictionary. No. It's doing the engineering and the thinking for you. So what are you needed for? You'll still needed to direct it in the right direction. And that's why experience and people who are over 50 like me are loving AI, because we've got the experience to do it. So what did it give me? Okay, let's look at NVIDIA, for instance. Let's look at NVIDIA's results over the last 10 years. You've got an annualized return of 72% per annum. Okay, that's fine. Is that statistically significant? When can I make money? So what we're really asking here is, where in the year does the market actually pay you? Where in the year does the market actually pay you? Well, what are the best and worst months on an average return? May and December. Okay, well, that's all fine to know, but let's break that down by, say, win rate on any given month. Well, July, at the start of July, actually, forget that, the start of May, it's not go away. I definitely want to be in the market because there's a 73% probability I'm going to win in May, June, July, August. And at the end of August, I want to get out because September's 50-50. October, I want to be back in. Start of December, I want to be the hell out of there. Okay. What are the kind of median returns? Well, I can also see the median returns. And I'm thinking, okay, this is why I want to be going long, maybe even short on the other days. You can now see the starting of a strategy. You can also see, because I'm letting you into it, how hedge funds start thinking, how the deck for raising capital, and we'll come to raising capital in a moment, is going to start looking. Now, you're not going to do it just off the base of that on one company. Actually, you need an extra level of sophistication, which is, well, wait a minute. What about cross correlations? The months I'm long on some stocks, wouldn't it be great if I could hedge and be short on others because they have weakness in those months? So let's say January, for argument's sake, I can be long Nvidia, but short Walmart. Okay, wouldn't that be good? To what proportions? That's a bit more complicated. We can get into that in another video. So you better save this one for later. You better like it as well, actually, because a lot of brain power's gone into this. It also then happened to tell me rank by monthly returns, what the returns are, day of the week effect, etc. Now, here's something also which blew my mind. It's something I hadn't even thought of, but would be incredibly useful on the trading side of the markets. And we're still looking at Nvidia, but also, more importantly, on the investing side, just to know where we stand. Now, you might say, well, wait a minute, how do you know this is not noise? Well, we've got the T-stat. Now, I didn't ask for the T-statistic, which is a statistic of relevance. Is it noise or is it more than coincidence? Okay, so we've got a T-stat of 2.6 in May. For those of you who remember your statistics, you'll know that that is bloody relevant. A 73% win rate with a T-stat of 2.6 and a return of 15.39%. Guess what? We're in May with Nvidia. Hell, do I want to double down on that? Do I pay my tax bill, or do I instead put it all in Nvidia and by the end of the month take the profits and pay my tax bill with it? Because, yeah, I just got a letter. July, 80%, 2.8 T-score. Now, of course, there's risks involved. The past is not a guarantee of the future. What's most exciting about this is not the money you could make. What's most exciting about this is what you can now do with AI. Would this allow you, from what I've just said, to set up $1 billion hedge fund? No, not from what I've just said, but you've got further ahead than somebody like me got in about 10 years up to 2004. From 1994 to 2004, it probably took me 10 years to get to this level. Here's the thing I really like. Optimal entry windows, average 21 trading day forward return after each week of the year. So in January, the 20-day, if you bought on the 1st of January, you've got a 68% chance of making money historically, okay, when you're looking at 41 Januaries. It went all the way back to the 1980s, okay, and you're making 9%. If you buy in that week, you got week 2, 21-day forward, 9.6% over the subsequent days. So you look at that, you cross-correlate that across other stocks, and all of a sudden you could have 10 different securities, okay, which is your basket. You divide your capital into 10, you can even create what's called a Kelly formula and know how much position sizing to do in each. Okay, this is the starting point. The starting point got me bloody excited. Okay. And what you would do is you'd have some long, some short, use CFDs for the shorting. Okay. You can even use it for the long. So you could use a bit of the leverage for those who are more sophisticated, 130 long, short hedge fund using CFDs. That's how we used to do it. But what this transaction cost you can build in as well. So you want a prime broker. The great thing is now the brokers, even like interactive brokers, do prime services. IG do prime services. So you've got the lower commission costs, the tighter spreads. Of course, then comes the question of capital. Okay. How are you going to raise the money? Oh, by the way, something else. And don't forget, buy and hold is 72%. But the hedge fund business is a marketing business. You can't just say, I'm going to buy and hold Nvidia. Nobody's going to give you any money. Okay, so you got to give them the data. You've got the starting point of the data. It gives you the yearly grid as well, what the returns were and which months are likely to be more positive, more negative, and so on. And then it's done back testing, which it can also do out of samples. So you could do 10 years from 1980 to 1990, and then you could do a separate 10 years based on the results from then on an out of sample result. It's a starting point. It's not the end goal. Or does the January effect work? Does buy and hold better? Is sell in May and go away better? Is the summer investing in the summer, May to October, better? I.e., the inverse of sell in May and go away. What about if you just pick the best 6 months? Anyway, all sorts of comparators, all of that, boom, done like that. Half the things I hadn't had a chance to think about. Now, are we going to do this? Well, let me tell you about raising capital and for any business, whether it's a hedge fund or anything else. Okay, you're going to need a lawyer, an accountant. You're going to need a lawyer both in your home country, wherever your asset management company is based. So if it's based in the UK, you'll need Simmons & Simmons are really good. We use them for the UK. And then if you're domiciled in Cayman, you'll need a Cayman lawyer as well. Walkers are good. We use them. You'll need an auditor, PwC, great brand name, Ernst & Young, great brand name, and you'll want the brand names. You'll need an administrator. Cisco is who we use, but there's others. SS&C are good administrators as well. Custodian bank. We used, I can't remember who we used when we set up in 2004, but then we moved to Banque Privée Edmond de Rothschild. But before that, I think it was Barclays in 2004 we used. But yeah, you'll need a bank. And then the prime broker. The prime broker used to be difficult to get a hold of. I mean, Goldman's just slammed their door in my face because they said you haven't got 50 million. We started off with about 10. So you're going to need prime broker. Like I said, that's a lot easier now. So you can take that off your box. And then you'll need compliance outsource through a compliance firm as well. There's many of those around. You can outsource that. Although you're primarily responsible to the regulator, the FCA yourself, just like with accountancy, you can't say it was my accountant who did it. You're primarily responsible. So what else is there on this that I need to tell you? How do you raise the money? Like any business, and it is like any business, it is actually not done on your track record, your back testing, your hypotheticals. Nobody gives a shit. Okay. What it's actually done on is the same with any other business, friends and family. So whether you say I'm going to open up a sweet shop or you say I'm going to open a hedge fund, they don't care what the theory is. Oh, but you've never opened a sweet shop before. Oh, but you've got no track record. There's no sales in your sweet shop. Nobody cares. What will matter is friends and family and your mum. The 3 Fs, friends, family, and fools. They're the only ones who are going to invest. Okay. You can email me all you want and say you make 50,000 billion% a day. I couldn't care less. Right? That's the truth of it. Like it's like any other business, friends, family, and fools. How are you going to meet rich friends? That's what you got to work out. If you haven't got a rich family, you're going to need to meet rich friends. It's that simple. Rich friends. And it's not going to be, I'll introduce you to my rich friends. So how did I meet rich friends, given that I was born in Leeds in Armley and I didn't have a rich family? My investors mainly came from an organization called TIE, the Indus Entrepreneurs. I was co-founder of the UK chapter of that. It's the world's largest entrepreneur mentoring organization. I was asked to co-found it by a chap called Apoorv Bagri and a few others. Eventually, we were joined on the board by Nikesh Arora, who is now CEO of Palo Alto Networks, was at SoftBank and at Google. So he was on my board when I first set up. I got lucky. How did I get lucky that they asked me to set that up with them? I was writing a column in the Financial Times. So let's work backwards. So how did I get a profile to write a column in the Financial Times? Because I was writing, I'd written a book on trading because I interviewed the world's leading hedge fund managers. How did I get to interview the world's leading hedge fund managers? Do you see what I'm saying? It's bloody difficult. A lot of it's chance and it's a lot of hard work and graft to meet those people. So how did I get to meet them? I wrote to them and I wrote to the FT. And I said to the FT, if you agree to publish this book, I can get interviews with 10 of the world's leading hedge fund managers. And I said to 10 of the world's leading hedge fund managers, if you agree to be interviewed by me, the FT will publish it. That was the way. Yeah, I know at this stage, I've lost you and you're thinking, screw this, I'd rather not be rich. It's up to you. But that's the breakdown and that's the bottom line. It has got easier. It has just got easier thanks to Perplexity and the like. But I won't kid you, it does help that I've written 18 odd books, that I understand all of this, and then tell my clients on the Great Investments program, hey guys, don't be nervous. It's usually a good month. Or don't be nervous, December's coming. It's usually a bad month. We're not going to trade in and out. We're holding. Okay. Giving them that visualization, able to show them ahead, handholds them. And yeah, sure, the goal is 72% per annum over the next 10 years. Can I guarantee it? Of course not. Of course not. Don't be silly. But we throw a few of those in. We're laughing. Tools like this, it's coming up with stuff before I even think of it. That's the great breakthrough. And you will get the next Perplexity-based AI hedge fund manager coming out soon. This is going to be great for trading. My plan is to launch a few of these apps, maybe on the side, charge possibly clients for it. Not my Great Investments Program people. They will get it for free because they're on the program. But everyone else, I don't know, £10,000 a year for things like this and a few others, which we'll just use our brains to make better and better and better. Why? Why not? Flipping amazing. I've got some free tools which are open to both my clients and non-clients at campaignforamillion.com/tools. Have a look at those if you want to see what amazing tools can look like. We might start charging for those soon as well. So go look at them now whilst they're free. campaignforamillion.com/tools. Okay, enjoy. I hope that was useful. Please save this video, like it, share it. It's really good.